Yes, it is. And in fact, it's not just good, it is great. It is amazing. It is everything and more you could ever even imagine wanting. But most of all, it is kind, which is, especially for a game like Limbus Company, rather odd. Where when in every pretty much every Canto, somebody important to you dies. Somebody that is a kind person, somebody that is a good guy, or at least on your side, dies very viscerally in front of you. And then you just have to go, oh well, c'est la vie, such is life. But that doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen here, which is incredible. I'm completely not expecting that. I expected Ji Chun to get absolutely axed. I really did expect Ji Chun to get axed or Wei, but he didn't. This Canto is a very fascinating story with it. The whole shtick of the family hierarch games or whatever to pick the next family hierarch is already interesting enough and could be its own shtick. But the fact that you have to do it but not win, you're not there to win. You're there to get like second place so you can get the golden burrow because you don't want to be family hierarch for some reason, I guess. Even though you'd think the LCB would be all over getting that kind of power, but apparently not. But small problem. You got some small little guys that don't want you there. Well, at least one of them doesn't want you there. The other one's actually a really chill guy, and he is probably the best side character in all side characters ever. That, of course, being Jia Chu, I believe is how you say it. I know I'm gonna butcher everybody's name here, but Jia Chu is the goat. He has reached goat status. When I first met him, especially when you meet him in Nocturnal Sweeping, he seems like such an asswipe. Like he's just gonna kill you on sight, but like he has so much character depth that's crazy. Especially compared to Hong Lu, whose his whole shtick is basically being a nihilist, uh, which is fine. It's really not my favorite character arc. The whole being a nihilist into being, you know what, kindness will win the day, and although we may not have as much time on this planet, who really cares? Because it's how we use the time we're given. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Still very kind, very joyful, very whimsical. I like it. I thought it put a smile on my face. It put a big old grin on my face. And, not just that, it it made me happy. It made me happy. Also, this out of almost every Canto added so many new characters, or at least so many new plot lines that could be explored in the coming Cantos or the coming Intervalos. You have all the stuff with uh, the girl who was all over Honlu trying to marry him, which I assume is going to be very important later, especially with that like epilogue bit, because apparently we didn't get a Damien epilogue bit, which surprised me. There was no blue guy. There was no blue guy moment. The classic blue guy moment where in the story there's some blue guy that has his own. It's like a dark blue. You had it in Canto. I guess you didn't have it in the Manor. You had it in La Mancha Land. You had it in Canto 5 with the fishbowl guy. You had it in Canto 4, I think, maybe. I feel like there was one there, and then obviously Damien in Canto 3. So there's this blue guy takeover. I don't know what their deal is. I have no clue what their deal is. But I expected them to show up here. They didn't. The most blue person there had no sort of reference to them whatsoever. And they're also kind of the goat. The only one to really trust Hong Lu just straight up. I do think the backstory of Hong Lu is much better than I thought it would have been. Because throughout the story up to this point, Hong Lu's been very much a background character. He hasn't said that much, he hasn't done that much, he hasn't really done anything of importance, period. But, it gets explained, obviously, that it's because he was just following orders. He wasn't individually anything. He was just doing something because Dante told him to do it, right? He wasn't actively taking action in any sort of way. And I suppose after the Canto's done, he will start, speaking up and making his opinion known and making his choices known. But before that, it makes sense that he wasn't talking that much. Just like how Ishmael didn't really talk that much. But to be fair, Ishmael didn't really do it because she basically lost faith in Dante because he was like, "Wow, you suck. Wow, you are actually awful at this. It's impressive." But with Honglu, it's especially noticeable, and I'm glad that was thought about. I'm glad that made sense to me, especially because there's a reason. There is a very clear reason it is called the surrendered witnessing. It is because uh, it is because Honglu is the surrendered witness. He witnesses everything. That's his whole shtick. His eyeball is transplanted into his eye socket just so that the elders could see everything through his eyes. So the whole shtick was the only reason he was allowed to see everything was because the elders had to see through him basically. Um, Not that he knew this, obviously. Only GMU really and the elders did. But he was just meant to witness. He was essentially a video camera that GMU took with her on everything she wanted the elders to see. Uh, which is just just insane. That reveal was insane. But personally, my favorite part of this whole Canto, uh, besides the Ryoshu bit with Lei Heng, I believe that's his name, because that was a crazy bit, just dropping Ryoshu lore, and the whole Azura bit at the very end where Gia Cho's like, "Oh, you're willing to support them on whatever path they choose to take," and even if they become an Azura, and then it very clearly looks at Ryoshu. I mess with that. I can't wait to see how that one cracks out. And Dante's, of course, Dante's the goat, so he goes, yeah, of course. If they want to murder a bunch of people, yeah, that's all right with me. You know, that's just how it goes. I mean, that's essentially what he said with Aldous in La Mancha Land. And Aldous was like, if I killed, like, basically thousands of people, if my actions got them all killed, would you still love me? And Dante's like, of course, baby. No, Dante was like, tick, 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 click, 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 click. But it was encouraging, I think. It was an encouraging TikTok, you know? But my favorite scene, I didn't expect it, had nothing to do with the sinners. Nothing to do with Dante, nothing to do with the sinner, nothing had anything to do with the LCB. It was when Gia Cho just absolutely exploded Lei Heng's head. When he just blew that shit clean off, I w- I was I don't even know. I mean, this is actually how it was. That's kind of how I reacted. I didn't expect it at all because I really thought Lei Heng would live, and then he would be the antagonist or like a semi-antagonist of Ryoshu's plotline. But he's gone. He's dead. Especially after he whooped our asses. Because that was by far the hardest fight in the Kanto. By the way, the final boss was a joke. Jiamu was a joke. She's a joke. Anybody who had trouble with her, I don't know what to tell you. She's a joke. However, the man who was supposed to be a sort of mid boss, um, he was rough. He was rough. I beat him before Project Moon did the nerf to his abilities. At least they nerfed him slightly. I don't know how much they nerfed him, but I beat him before they nerfed him. That's a hard fight. That's a moray. I tell you what, and especially it is just so crazy that that fight even worked like that. He had like an 8 coin skill that absolutely dumpstered you, whether or not you won the clash. I mean, if you won the clash, you were probably living, but everybody was getting uh like almost their whole health bar taken. And if you didn't win the clash, say goodbye to your whole front line. They're all dead, all of them. The only reason that like fight is even viable is because of Dante's new Golden Burrow resonance. And obviously that's like the point. It's supposed to be, oh, here's the Golden Burrow resonance. So now we can fight him. We're leveling the playing field. But even though we leveled the playing field, still didn't feel fair. Still didn't feel fair. Unbreakable coins, not fun. Especially because Project Moon was like, actually, or I guess it was Kim Ji Hoon. So the thing with like unbreakable coins is that we do them so you guys can see the animations as you guys get dumpstered. They're not supposed to be that strong. Except nowadays, unbreakable coins are the only reason you're getting hit normally ever. I feel it should be said. As always, Millie song is peak. Tien Tien, I believe that's how you say it. is peak. And you know what? It's on Spotify right now if you want to check it out. It's probably on Apple Music right now if you want to check it out. It's on YouTube if you want to check it out. Maybe. I don't know. I just listen to it on Spotify. And I gotta tell you, it's peak. It's they don't miss. Millie never misses. La la lula, la la lula, as they say. And I will say at the very end, it is crazy that Gia Cho was a Pinky member, and so was Zilu for that matter. And they just killed Lei Heng. I'm still thinking about that. That's still the part that like got me the most. But in the end, I really, really like this Canto. I would say this Canto, if I had to put them in a list, Canto 6 is at the top. Okay, Canto 6 is just the GOAT. I'd say Canto 7 is right below that. Then either this or Canto 5. I'd say this because of recency bias, but if not, it could very well be Canto 5. And then 4, 3, 2, 1. Easy. Well, I guess maybe 4, 3, 1, 2, because the Rhodium one was awful. But anyway, I really, really like this Canto, and I hope you did too. And I think that's a beautiful thing.